comes, Sarah will have a son.
Mm.
Okay, so it's a child of promise. Some people out there are children of promise, which means that they have been specially crafted by God and put in a family to save that family, to bear the seed of God in that family, to bring light in that family. So there are so many children of promise who don't even know they are children of promise.
That's my next question.
Okay.
How does one know?
Most of them don't know, but with time, the events that will begin to happen around them will prove that they are children of promise. Okay. So, but because I don't want to dwell towards that line now, I will not say much about that. So, but the children of promise are there in almost every family. They have children of promise. There is one child who will definitely say, no, I don't want to continue with this evil religion in the family. And that child looks like a a rebel, in the family. And he said, no, I want to serve Jesus. But God has put that child there so that he will now be able to help that family to go closer to God.